And as I've said, I take no responsibility for any of the action of these grown men or what they did. I don't even take any responsibility for, even my hobbies in Tijuana, simply because of the coordination that was done from that base into that region in relation to like the politics and like, even the vaccine mandate. Because the entire thing was BS from the beginning, from like individuals that I work with and like the grudge that they carried. So overall, I take absolutely no responsibility for nothing, and even certain things are, like this. It's the main reason why I say that is because the individuals who came after me for whatever reasons that they tried to pursue after me was actually a corrupted element tied to like many disturbing things in relation to certain activities done in coordination with that naval base and the activities in the underworld and the system that they use, and that they could actually be, like it's funny because they're like kind of like the masterminds of like a certain things in which they try to like push towards my direction and hold me accountable for like whatever they're tied to. And one of the main reasons why I backed off from like even trying to discover what's going on with the rabbit hole is because simply of the fact that certain nations and the powers are involved into it. So like I said, the minute you realize that whatever conspiracy you're exploring and like you kind of like figuring out the truth, you just like you just come to a conclusion that you cannot really win against certain bodies unless you have an army yourself. And then when you realize that what you're actually seeing is related to like a corporation of bodies tied to a certain historical plot that was designed like centuries ago, you just kind of like go like, well, it's time to just enjoy your vacation and nothing else, because currently the entire political struggle is tied to to a plot tied to having a war in a certain region that would be so bloody and so devastating that they already predicted that there will be a nuclear fallout within a certain regions, and that where it's like the entire fallout plot like somehow they kind of predicted a certain setting that is actually in motion right now and put it into the fantasy setting. And simply because they do that, they put it into like the fantasy setting. People tend to like ignore it as like not being like even tied to like reality. But like I said, what's his name? That Stalker developer was able to develop a video game where like he gave the players the immersion into the struggle of what is going on in between his nation and Russia. In the process, he described the zone as a place, if you win, you get to obtain any of your wishes to come true, and it comes at a cost. And it's just like he pretty much described, the wish of his people, or like the wish of ending this conflict, and the victory. And I don't want to say victory, but like the wish is tied to whatever the outcome is in the long term of like establishing your border, and then developing the dream or whatever it is that is tied to the reality. And it's amazing to even see that there's so many Easter eggs within real life itself that is actually implemented into like the silliest form of entertainment, which many grown men have ignored or decided to not even partake simply because it felt too childish for them. And the best part about that is that, ironically, the real individuals tied to the keeping the tracks, the records of humanity, and like even in the process of developing progress to assist it to survive, are all tied. They're all tied to like specific religious groups who maintain a certain level of purity and discipline, tied to like the childish mindset of certain men. So in the process, like as they grow up and like they're not really exposed to like certain things, and they're able to like develop certain codes or whatever, the projects in which they partake in to share the experience, or even make a profit out of whatever they're into, they kind of put out like a lot of information tied to like real world event of what's going on and what will happen in the future. And that's one of the beautiful things about humanity, is like when you come to the realization that we actually we're computing certain outcomes into like what we believe is actually what will happen based off the amount of statistics that we collect from what's available to us as like real evidence, and like we could compare from like the past events and so forth, and that we're able to like simply put reality that will happen in the future into our creative artwork, and even texts and many other records. In this process, it just happened that for my age, because of the computer revolution and the new art styles, and like digital art and like many other things, in relation to what the transistor gave birth to, that the way humanity collects information or even store it and share it with other individuals, the most optimal path for them was there to actually put it into a video game setting that actually stimulate the mindset of a child. And in the process, it's funny because what they actually put in there is actually real valuable information that a lot of people skip over. And even video games like Cyberpunk, people don't even realize that's just the manifestation of what the current civilization want in terms of being in the future, and like the future market, and they give you like the entire setting to like the type of products that you should be working on, like whatever improvements or whatever that is desired from the even the current elite groups, and the need for change and like multiple other things. So overall, like I said, life is silly, and being a Negro on vacation is like the best NPC character that I could choose. But like I said, I glitched the entire system, and in the process, I take no responsibility for grown-ass men peeping into my business, and then catching emotions, and then go on a self-destructive path. Especially when what happened was tied to like so much corruption that I don't even want to delve into it, and so I don't think that given what I witnessed, experienced, or whatever, like I can't even compare certain conditions to like what's going on into like a certain industry. But like the main thing that I was talking about back in 2021 was our experiences as like regular people, and the stuff that we're indoctrinated to believe in terms of like free country, or like many progressive movement, progress movement in terms of like encouraging certain things related to like assimilating and many other cultures and different stuff like liberties, like accepting certain changes that are involved, like like you just believe in like a normalcy, and then when you observe the corrupted element, that's when it becomes a nightmare, where like some of the things that you're forced to believe in, like even things like the regular nail salon or even like football, and you realize that like the dark side of it, like like certain kids being raped by certain coaches within the football team, or like many other things, and like that it's just so crazy to even like a lot of dark secret related to humanity and tied to the lords in the past, and like how they used to maintain loyalty, or like certain trade secrets, and like many other things, and that's just like humanity overall. But when you realize like certain system are abused, where like you're supposed to be free for all, like in my case, where like the only type of business I wanted to deal with grown ass adults who were just like there on their own free time to do whatever they wanted, partake into a particular service, and not have individuals tainted simply because they are tied to a certain cult tied to the decay of humanity that actually exists to simply spread chaos. You run certain satanic groups, and also wish for like they got like they have like many they have like many other different things in relation to like certain religions. But you do have like that's the fucked up part, is that they're within the system where like they exist to simply operate on certain cults doctrines that revolves around nothing more than chaos and like the destruction of civilization and like many other things. So it's like they're trying to disprove that there's no free will or whatever. I mean, there's so if there was no free will, you'll naturally head off to the chaos side and wish for the destruction of everything. But because of our nature and what's built within us, that we go to the opposite side, and we always seek out order, which is the perfect image of whichever deity we believe is actually ruling over us for the perfect world that we envision, and the perfect image of everything. And you know, overall, like I'm amazed that I even found so many lunatics within a corruptive body that is supposed to be pure, like not be so fucking linked to like like I said, like it was so confusing to get hit with like things like human trafficking organization, while at the same time the same groups were coordinating with like pimps to like track me down around the train station and just like walk their victims, or like their hoes or whatever they want to call them nowadays, like and try to like insist some sort of like I don't know psychological trauma or something like that, like so at first I would assume that the NGOs were trying to teach me a lesson, but when I met those individuals tied to a certain group in Berlin, and they told me Hakuna Matata, and I talked about it, and then Hakuna Matata was spread on a website like Legal Porno or Inelvids, or the entire network that is connected to like one group. And then like it just made no sense at that point to like even worry about the NGOs into human trafficking, because what is a human trafficking organization doing coordinating with a porn studio that actually hires like local hoes to do some of the wildest thing that you ever seen on a camera, as if they were under the influence of certain things or whatever. Like chicks are like getting pounded by like 20 guys while at the same time drinking all their urine on like multiple different nasty things that revolves around the degeneracy of just the regular local society. And that made no sense to me. And then I realized the truth is that it was individuals tied to like certain operations within that region, tied to the warfare element of the security apparatus of the United States, and they caught some emotions or feelings simply because of the fact of how free I live my life, specifically, and that how I carry myself as a single man, and the way I take care of myself, and in a specific manner, and that just makes it so stress free. Allows me to focus on like different methods and means to even like survive or whatever. So in the process, they use that as a camouflage to be able to like pursue their own emotions and justice. And overall, the mess that unfolded was just as I suspected it will unfold chaotically. The main reason being is simply because of the pattern that revolves around the timeline and the time frame of the events that happened, and it all fall down to the vaccine mandate that was pushed on, while at the same time rejected by a few religious individuals tied to like certain movements in the United States. So simply based off that fact, I came to the conclusion that the people involved were not really in there to like even seek out justice or even be at a negotiating table, that they are going on in full self-destruction mode. Now they're wishing to bring on the ends of time and like destroy everything simply because they were told to get vaccinated, and it was actually an option. Well, like nobody, it's not, in the United States, we're not really living in a state where like the government shows up to your house and like they point a gun to your head and tell you to get vaccinated, or else they put certain conditions and certain rules in which you can navigate around and avoid, and then return and do certain things. Kind of like those who refused the vaccine, and like they were fired, and then they came back with a lawsuit and they won. So it's that same process in which these individuals could have took into, because there's like always almost an option, unless you have like a slave master over your head that like takes your freedom away from you. So you always have like an option in some cases. And in their case, they just chose not to and decided to be stubborn. And now they lost all hope apparently, and all they're stuck in is just with nothing more than a vengeful spirit to get payback at any cost. So in my case, like they sent off some of the lamest people that I can ever envision in life. Like people who cannot like lames, like like lames, like even the entire situation is lame itself. People involved are lame, and like like sometimes they'll send like some old people, like old disabled individuals, like in some of the hotels that I'm at, and like I don't know what the fuck they tell those people, but like the white people, like especially within the feds, they're good at lying. and like getting certain things, like they use like certain keywords. Like that's why they spread the. That's why they purposely like the first thing they do when they dox you is that they call you a pedophile and like a rapist and like whatever can slander your name, whatever, and get them to easily obtain support from a certain individual. So like if they know that killing puppies kind of like tarnish your reputation, whatever, they use that against you. Like they say that you slaughtered puppies, so like you deserve X and Y. Like they're very manipulative, and in that process, like I just decided to stand my ground and just let if it was an actual investigation, and depending on how professional it was, just let it be, and that's it. But given like how they went, like so many, they used so many dirty tactics, they were breaking so many laws and like forcing me to like commit suicide, while at the same time breaking into the reality themselves to like purposely try to euthanize me as if I was a dog. And that just shows you that the entire thing is corrupted. Like even the false allegation that I might have been spreading classified information, well, like none of the things that I talk about online were even related to the critical aspect or like the secret element of our national security. And those were all things that were within the public domain from nothing classified or nothing, no information given to me at my level within that naval base that the public didn't already know or that our enemies didn't even know. If anything, it was just a review of what's already posted online, and it's not even like critical information that's related to like real classified document. It's actually a news article about real events that occurred based off certain activities that individuals that carry themselves around. Like even shit like the unconditional warfare, or even the geopolitics of certain nations, or even the current slave trades, like whatever happened in the underworld, like whatever shitty stuff is happening, like all this is already in the public domain, already being discussed about in like the news organizations, and just like whatever information that I had was actually a small piece of information being regurgitated within specific topics to be able to discuss certain reactions that are occurring within our environment, and that are directly tied to us economically and to our security. And then that was it. Like those folks try to make up like many stupid shit. Like I could have gone into the nuclear submarine base and stole the blueprints, and then I went to a video game forum and started licking the blueprints of the submarines or whatever, just so I could feel my ego about being a subject matter expert, trying to gain attention and many other shit. In reality, I was just a guy not trying to get attention, and like simply discussing certain things that were already public to simply leave a historical trait, a historical point within the digital library, so that when historians use AI or whatever to be able to see what was going on in this timeline, that they at least had a record. And that's something that many individuals already caught on onto into these digital footprints that are left on the internet. That's why Congress itself archives the entire internet whenever they can, because they understand the importance of living records and being able to trace back historical factors in terms to re-envision certain dimensions of reality within that timeline, and to even understand like certain individuals or whatever, So I found it at first I found it amusing that they even came after me for Tijuana, like even like fraud, or even like leaking classified information or all that garbage. But then when I started to observe that it was all related to individuals who might have investigated me and then formed their own opinions based off my opinions and capture their emotions or feelings, and at the same time for it went from being silly to this is pure retardedness that is extremely fucked up, where the people involved within the the FBI, Navy SEALs, are coordinated with that naval base that tried to investigate me for taking sick leaves, and then they kind of build up my character on as if I was a baby rapist or something like that. And then come to find out that as they're doing the investigation, they catch feelings through political opinions, and then they try to pass their rage on me simply because I made a joke about promoting Biden for the corona response online. Biden is going to save us, if there's if from the virus or whatever. And then as they're doing that investigation, like those people involved in it, like the informants, all that, are connected to like a whole bunch of shitty shit related to like a war plot and government activities that's tied to like the main plot of warfare. And it's just like like you had the option to be extremely professional and disciplined and extremely intelligent into like covering your tracks and like hiding the obvious out of sight, but instead you chose the most dumbest thing that somebody like me can even think of and come to realize that all of it is actually true, and that is so silly. and that is so silly to like even come across that as I'm being investigated, that the people involved are like so corrupted, tied to actual human trafficking, while they're trying to throw human trafficking charges at me. And they're even like taking part of like certain dark shit related to like exploiting even the migrants that come through for like some of the harshest and darkest things that you can ever imagine. And overall, like it's phenomenal to even realize that my thread even crossed with the KKK within the system itself, that is tied to a war plot. So it's like like I said, I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in random events. Like I believe that certain things are meant to be in place in a certain way and to happen. And in my case, it was just that I just still can't believe it, simply because as a black man, all I did was just tap into the void of thirst for knowledge, and then I got to see the entire answer of the entire world, and like even the secrets, the real meaning of life, and like the secret of the universe, like many other things. I even seen God himself. I was like, that's just crazy. So overall, like like I said, the world is silly. I want nothing to do with the world plot. Just because of how insane it is, with the involvement and the push to try to get millions of people to like eradicate one another, to simply rebuild. Like I'm laughing at the same time, but at the same time, like when you realize the plot that is involved behind certain things, and like the individuals tied to those cults, their dreams that they were pushing to their technological advancement, and like whatever else that was carried from their children. It's just like I definitely go back in time and just like stop myself from even doing that. Just pretend to like just stick to the blue pill and ignore the red pill, because in the end, when you take the red pill, it's like you just ruin the story. So so in my case, it just so happened that I was trying to be low-key, and because of that, I drew the attention of the federal government that is tied to a KKK faction. And because of the lack of discipline or even professionalism, they just no oversight. So they just use their ego to just get what they want, no matter how illegal or illegal it was. And in the process, they panic because they realize that the person they were trying to humiliate was actually in the process of like exposing their trade secrets and other things that they were involved in the underworld. So it's like I was trying, some groups are tied to like Manosphere was trying to humiliate me in the process, while it's being observed without me knowing. My internet information activities were being leaked at the same time as they're like observing me, and like you trying to humiliate me toward that Manosphere or that group within the naval base. Somewhat the topics in which I was studying were actually related to some of their activities, financial activities and other things in which they're into. And that led to a certain level of mass panic within the group that were actually leading the investigation and getting involved into like my business from the Navy. And what followed was nothing more than a shit show where like I got to witness men like Ashton Kutcher actually do good things and like do good things overall, and then boom, just as I predicted, because of the tainted element tied to greed within that system that pushed them to get on my case. There it is, so he fell out, and just to see that he lost, he had to step down from his own organization. It's like, it's just phenomenal to see, like, certain things in which you put your hard work and effort, like emotions into, get to lose it simply because you got involved with like the wrong people that are tied to just following certain trends, and didn't learn the full story before and I even got to observe it. So in my case, like I said, I'm not human. I mean, I'm not an angel. I'm not the devil. I'm just a human being. So overall, I take no responsibility for the action of certain men, their emotions, and their needs for kicks and giggles, going against me, making the bet against me in process. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that those people, in the process of whatever they were doing, actually exposed my family, and in the process were also again other people killed. So one thing that I hate is that certain groups, some of them are like con men, and they don't realize that I'm not a con man. That's the fucked up part about it, is that I'm not a con man. I'm actually a legitimate guy. And that somehow, because they believe some of the things I say is so much bullshit, or because of their their personality or whatever they're doing, like they assume that I'm just bullshitting, like and that's the problem, is that I'm legitimate. And it's kind of annoying to see that the real con men are like the other groups that are not legitimate, actually trying to take my strategies and like my my logic and use it like to their advantages, and while at the same time they're going around and spread and slander my name, to like purposely destroy me in the process. So it's like it's kind of weird. It's like the abuser, stealing. This is, like I said, they're leeches. They like take my information, take my data, and purposely, they benefit from it, while at the same time they're very snake-like and try to like destroy me in the process. And like that just shows you the entire setup of that party that is tied to GOP, and like so many of its corrupted element. And like I got to like visit certain things about certain people within America, like the business practices, and then you get to learn the big truth about many things. And it's just like, yep, I would just like enjoy my vacation and not even look into the shit anymore, simply because of how it's tied to the war element. So the minute it is tied to the war element, it is tied to a nightmare scenario that is tied to just like the basic rules of the jungle, that the strong will survive and the weak will be food for the strong. So in this case, like violence, depending on the pace, how rapidly it occurs, the statistic that you enter a nightmarish world of flesh and blood and nothing but blunt force. And because it is tied to that universal truth that that actually impact the pain level of the organism. Pain is everything. Pain is what allows you to like evolve or even like control you as a human being. That is your flaw, the flesh. So